real fucking one. And with real-life Bond villain Elon Musk beavering away on X, spreading a flurry of slurry across the Gooniverse, and Jeff Bezos crouched in a filleting position ready to receive the royal orange cock of the tax-dodging
Warning, the following contains images of animals in their natural habitat. Viewer discretion.
Tax-dodging multi-millionaire felon who's now running the show. America is now a fully fledged plutocracy.
Our peaceful trading partners are not our enemies. They are our allies. We should beware of the demagogues who are ready to declare a trade war against our friends, weakening our economy, our national security, and the entire free world, all while cynically waving the American flag.
Ever notice how you hate everyone who disagrees with you? If you said yes, then you're not alone, and if you said no, then f***
74, he found 40% of the skeleton of an unknown female ape-like creature. The night he found her, the camp celebration included beer and Beatles music, specifically Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. They called the skeleton Lucy.
Luck seems to play a role in...
Just over 50 years ago in Ethiopia, paleontologist Donald Johanson unearthed Lucy, an ancient human relative who lived more than 3 million years ago.
I'm talking about the cradle of civilization.
From rocky coast to golden shore.
Oh, not that one.
President Trump is back. Trump is back. Trump is back. Trump is back. Trump.
I want to talk about the homonyms in Kenya. And while I'm at it, I want to show my dad something. Something about rocks.
Genders are there, Tommy? How many genders are there, Tommy?
The honest answer, Desi, I don't care. I'm a libertarian. I don't care. Be what you want to be. You can be what you want to be, Jesse.
That's coming later in the video. I'll make sure I point it out at the time.
After 4 long years, President Donald Trump is back where he belongs. He is in the Oval Office.
No, not those.
Now another group of scientists have found new clues about what life was like in Lucy's time, including the surprising discovery of early tools dating back 3 million years. Brooke Silva Braga traveled to East Africa for a recent dig.
This is the Homa Peninsula in Kenya, on the edge of Lake Victoria. The East African Rift Valley is often called the cradle of humankind, because so many of the oldest clues about our earliest days have been preserved under its fertile volcanic soil.
After 244 years together as a nation, we seem to be growing apart. Americans are fiercely split not only about policy, but on the basic decency of the other side.
Growing shares in each party now describe those in the other party as more closed-minded, dishonest, immoral, and unintelligent.
According to an NBC poll, 62% of college Democrats say they would not dorm with a Republican.
80% of Americans now have few or no friends across the aisle.
In a poll before the last election, 15% of Republicans and 20% of Democrats agreed that the country would be better off if large numbers of the opposing party just died.
we'd be better off if the other side just died? What?
For the record, I'm not talking about, 300 years ago. Or 3,000 years ago. Not even 6,000 years ago. I'm talking about not 3 million years ago, but 6 million years ago. The homonyms were us before we were us.
It's crazy. Please think about it. The entire country would be haunted by the ghosts of your enemies. Enemies who, by the way, can and will watch you masturbate.
That list now includes the discoveries made by Tom Plummer and his team here at a site known as Nyanga.
It's still got, after 3 million years, you can feel the edge. The edge is still sharp.
Yeah,
you could still cut with that.
Yes.
These so-called flakes, basically little knives, are believed to be some of the first tools ever used on Earth.
And why can't you share a dorm room with someone you disagree with politically? It's a difference of opinion, not airborne chlamydia.
And there are cut marks on the hippo, so we know that they were actually butchering the hippo.
Plummer, an archaeologist at the City University of New York, showed us how they were made.
All right, there's a bigger one there.
Yeah, here we go.
by hammering one stone against another.
Now what you can do, which you wouldn't be able to do before, is cut the meat off.
The blade-like flakes,
it's a pocket knife,
and the two pounding stones,
the pounding is tenderizing the meat,
are known as the Oldowan toolkit.
And then of course it's also plant food.
Also, it would be great to dorm with a Republican. Do you know how fun it would be to sexile someone who doesn't even believe in premarital sex? Sorry, don't come in. We're drying our wet spot with your All Lives Matter shirt.
A similar, even older cutting tool was also found in Kenya, but that technology apparently died out. So
outrage in America isn't new. It's one of our oldest pastimes, right behind baseball and racism.
Admittedly, evolution has gone better for some people, and clearly worse for others.
We have a story that will make your blood boil. Infamous social justice warrior Colin Kaepernick is now the brand new face of a Nike ad campaign.
If you just paid your taxes, this next story will piss you off.
I mean, don't get me wrong, both those kids are f***ed up in their own truly fascinating way, but they're not keeping me scrolling till 2 a.m.
Plummer believes this tool, used by our pre-human ancestors known as hominins,
Gaggled for I think the third or fourth time throughout the weekend with members of the Traveling Press Corps.
Hominins is what paved the way for everything that followed.
In terms of technology, I think the Oldowan technology is probably the most important technological innovation that ever happened in human history.
Now, you are a little biased, having devoted your life to the study of this, but that's still quite a thing to say. Why so important?
It allowed hominins to access a whole array of foods that they would never have had access to before.
This is going to enrage you. You're going to be outraged when we tell you what happened.
Prepare to be outraged. Get ready to be angry. This story's going to make you sick. This story will make you want to throw your newspaper and make your blood boil.
You'll be so outraged by this next story, you'll rip out all your pubes in one pull.
President Trump, Vice President Vance, and their families attended the National Prayer Service. It's a tradition after the inauguration, and it happens at the Washington Cathedral. But rather than a Christian service about God and country, they were forced to listen to the rantings of a lunatic.
And the fight to fill a niche is a powerful one.
I'd like to get back like it was in the 60s.
Before all the civil rights stuff?
Before all the civil rights stuff.
So you would like to see things go back to before the civil rights movement?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, where people have their freedom in this country.
Well, certain groups didn't have as much at the time, right?
Right. They didn't have as much at the time. But we still got to get back where this country stands up for this country.
Yes, we certainly do have to get back where this country stands up for this country. And we must get back to the time, according to this very white man, before the civil rights movement, when people had freedom.
And those who find themselves being pushed to extinction can often go to extreme measures.
This story will have you fired up this morning. U.S. soldiers now learning about the dangers of white privilege.
Fueling body size increase, that's fueling brain size increase. There's a feedback loop that starts, and as you get more sophisticated hominins with bigger brains, they start doing more with technology. But I think that's all starting with the older one.
With the ability to change your world around you, technology was the key that changed the face of man.
Team promised shock and awe to start his second term. 2 weeks in, the shocks keep coming.
Administration officials have forced out all 6 of the FBI's most senior executives and multiple heads of various FBI field offices.
Trump fired at least 17 inspector generals.
More than 24 federal prosecutors who worked on January 6 cases were fired.
Sparking panic inside the Bureau by people who fear retribution by the Trump administration.
Even ISIS was like, why can't we get numbers like that?
We'll often think of the first tool as being a club.
The Federal Reserve, what is it, and is it f***ing us?
More than 1,000 senior civil workers and contractors were fired, furloughed, or placed on leave. USAID's website has been offline for more than 24 hours.
Putting a pause on most federal government websites.
The Department of Education, a number of people have been placed on administrative leave.
Turns out, it was slightly more impressive than that.
That's cheating on the election.
You lost the 2020 election.
Brett,
You take a look at all of the stuffed ballots, you take a look at all of the things, including things like the 51 intelligence agents.
There were recounts in all of the swing states.
The Odilon Toolkit. It's been found in several places. In fact, it didn't even come from the homonyms.
The search for these early artifacts has the look and intrigue of an Indiana Jones film. Finding the splintered rocks was one thing, but locating cut marks on nearby animal bones is what confirmed that butchery, and therefore technology itself, existed here nearly 3 million years ago.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's a hippo bone.
It is a hippo bone.
It's a foot bone, yeah.
Oh, it's a hippo foot bone.
Right.
Blasto Onyango is basically the crew foreman. He's also a kind of local legend in the archaeological community. One of his first digs for the National Museums of Kenya helped uncover the Turkana boy, the most complete early hominin skeleton ever discovered.
We're talking about a AI president, that you need a president that is immune to bias, corruption, influence, and someone who just looks at things rationally and in an intelligent way that spans all the disciplines.
Excavated for like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That must have been exciting. And you saw more of the body every year.
Right, yeah. Different parts of the body, the ribs, the foot bone.
Those type of miraculous finds are, of course, terribly rare.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement reported an undisclosed number of arrests in Chicago, with the acting Deputy Attorney General, the Trump ally, Dr. Phil.
The daily work of archaeology involves searching through fine sand for small clues.
Okay. Oh.
It's a tooth. So
it's a tooth. Wait,
yeah.
We just found a tooth just right now?
Yeah, and I may find more.
Paleontology researcher Rose Nyaboke Juma is especially good at finding artifacts, though we were surprised to learn that's really just part of it.
Now this one almost looks like a flake to me, but it's not, or is it?
It's a bone.
It's a bone?
Yeah.
But okay. Well, hold on. Just none. This can't all be. This is what's this?
It's a bone.
It's a bone. Everything's a bone.
See, Dad?
This morning, a new warning about the dangers of misinformation spreading online and making its way into political races. And this latest claim that some school districts are providing cat litter boxes for students who identify as cats.
Bones, teeth, every little bit of life for thousands of years is all around us.
The first sign of the rumor in the U.S. appears to have been this Michigan school board meeting last December, where it was discussed by a parent without proof, then shared on Facebook by a chairwoman of the Michigan Republican Party, referring to furries, the false story snaking its way across the country, and now into Republican stump speeches.
It's a bone.
How can they all be bones? Where are you going to put all these things?
Now, the issue is we don't just pick anything. It has to have a paleontological meaning.
Oh, so I got a bone, but we don't really care about this bone?
Yeah, we tell it, sorry, we can't pick you today.
Oh,
so
wait,
it stays.
The bones are going back?
Yep.
The bones that matter are ones like this pig's tooth. Pigs evolved so quickly their skeletons help date the surrounding area. The site is too old for carbon dating, and the ancient volcanic ash makes other dating methods so hard the area had been mostly abandoned by researchers after artifacts from the Homa Peninsula led to inaccurate claims about human origin.
The homonyms got it from somebody that came before them. Somebody that the homonyms probably helped lead to extinction.
There has to be a point at which Dad comes home. Dad is pissed. And when Dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl.
Maybe that's an example of not being too quick to share your technology. The very people who were so thankful when you gave it to them might just use it against you.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna hurt you a lot more than it hurts me.
But the point here is that technology paved the way for everything that came after.
Despite all that, Rick Potts, director of the Smithsonian's Human Origins Program and leader of all these efforts we're seeing, started digging here nearly 40 years ago.
So you come here in 1985, and what do you find?
Well, what we found was a place that's difficult to date.
But you didn't leave.
Well, we didn't leave.
Why didn't you leave?
Well, because science takes persistence.
The persistence has been rewarded. New technologies have made these sites easier to date, and new discoveries from across Eastern Africa have refined our understanding of our roots.
It was technology that would lead to better nutrition outcomes, which leads to bigger brains, which led man to stand up fully erect for the first time about 3 million years ago.
The first Homo sapiens, that is, modern-looking humans, emerged in Africa about 300,000 years ago. But our hominin ancestors took much longer to become us than we had first understood.
Have you heard about the litter boxes stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
If we don't push back on the craziness, it's not going to end.
A cat. They put tails on and they demand that they have a litter box in the school.
Not because there's actual cats in the room, but because there's kids going around licking themselves as though they're cats.
We've literally got kids who think they're cats and dogs using litter boxes in classrooms.
No, you don't.
But that means that we had tools like knives, pocket knives, hell, a little toolkit that we carried with us 3 million years before that.
Kids are not trying to shit in litter boxes in school, or at all. I mean, most kids won't shit in toilets in school. Are you kidding me? Other kids might know that you shit, and that's a secret.
The human-like leap of walking on two legs at least 6 million years ago.
And so some of the things that we thought occurred in a very short period of time within the last 1 million years are now stretched out over that 6 million year period. And that includes tool making.
And who made the tools is another surprise. Along with the flakes, Plummer's team found the tooth of a Paranthropus, an early hominin that is not our direct ancestor.
Very excited for the IFD, and I think you are really the best hope for Germany. It's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything. I think there's frankly too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that. Children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, or even let alone their parents, their great-grandparents.
So people are pretty concerned about being replaced. And the more ancient that you are, the less likely you are to rule forever. Change is what led to our greatness.
That suggests the first tool making is not a human legacy, but an idea our ancestors copied, then used to dominate other hominids, who ultimately died out. Potts says that should be humbling.
We're the last biped standing, as I call it. All of those other ways of life became extinct, and so that gives us a lot to think about. And it draws attention to the fragility of life, even in our own journey through time.
And the ability to make change to our own environment, to alter the world around us, to make it more palatable. It led to everything that came after, like this Jeep. Hell, there's a direct line, obviously, from the Eldowan toolkit all the way to the pair of scissors that cuts this hair. And that particular tool hasn't changed a whole lot. The blade.
Some on the right have now fallen into the trap of believing that so long as someone is purportedly anti-left, no matter what insanely non-conservative thing that person believes, from the wonders of promiscuity and mistreating women to standing for Islamic jihadis, all of which Andrew Tate has done, you can commit literally any sin and be treated to applause. Well, this has to stop because it's stupid and it's counterproductive and it is morally wrong.
The work they're doing in Kenya is amazing. Thank God for entities like the Smithsonian and universities like this one in New York that are doing research that's giving us a better understanding of who we are.
A journey of innovation, creating new winners and losers for an incredible 3 million years.
Anything, making change and making your world better is not just the key to happiness, but the key to your children's future. Meanwhile, clinging to the distant past and not understanding or even caring to all of the things that came to make your country great leads to extinction. It just does.
This is how I know it's a lie. Because they don't have one example of it happening. Not one. But that didn't stop them from spreading it because it benefits them.
Now, if only we could do that with modern politics. For if we don't let them just, go away with the dodo, as evolution will have them go. They're liable to use the very technology that our research in science and physics have led to. They might just use them against us, because you should never give primitive people tools created by modern and educated man. So they're concerned about being replaced. Well, they already are. Y'all take it easy. I'm Zachariah.
How much this system profits off your anger, it's not surprising that people would like the other side to just die. It's not surprising that people are afraid to dorm with the monsters who believe different lies than us.
We've talked about this, Ben. I have 5 lists ready to go, and they're growing. List number 1, we're going to fire. We're going to fire a lot of people in the executive branch of the deep state. Number 2, we're going to indict. We're going to indict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every other scumball, sleazeball Biden. Number 3, we're going to deport. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious.
It's not even surprising when a mob of people believing they are righteous storm the Capitol, an event where, ironically, a bunch of furries used Nancy Pelosi's office as a litter box.
Mr. Gorbachev, Donald Trump sucks ass.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't negotiate, let's investigate, we'll accelerate, and we're taking him down.